Thank you so much for watching what you have so far in the previous 13 chapters. This is a lot of material, and I just wanted to be complete. I hope you haven't watched every minute of every chapter because it's an awful lot of video to have to wade through. But in this chapter, we just cover everything that I haven't talked about so far, or at least as many things as I can think about that we haven't talked so far. The first thing is this checkbox in the bottom right-hand corner. So let's kind of go around the screen. We've got this little checkbox that you may have noticed called boxes. All that does is it brings up all of the boxes that could be potentially brought up on the battle map. There are several encounters that maybe even more than several that allow you to do miscellaneous kinds of things with the battle map. Like setting up these trees or setting up rats or whatever the case may be. When you have the boxes enabled, like as I have here, then you basically you can do whatever you want with these boxes. So I can set up a battle map, for example, with 0 points. That's fine. We're going to proceed anyway, and I really should turn off the sound of the dice. And let's just throw the Gearlocs in the back row. Let's just say that those happen to be the rules. And now, because we started a new battle, the boxes got reset. So I'm going to re-enable them. And maybe, I believe one of the encounters has you roll for rats equal to one more than the size of your party. So in this case, we would have to roll for 6 rats. And I believe the way this works, I think you roll the d6, so I can now simply right-click and record 6 HP for a rat that might be sitting in here. But frankly, this is just a box now as far as the computer is concerned, so you can just do whatever you want with it. You can represent anything you want. I'm going to turn the dice sound off. I'm kind of tired of listening to it. So our next rat happens to be 5. This is not good. We want low numbers when we're rolling against the rats. And the next rat is 1. And finally, well, actually, we got 2 more to do. Another one with 1, and then we would have 1 more rat, which would be over here, I believe, with 3. You can left-click to reduce them and right-click to increase them. You can move your Gearlocs around just as you would normally. So basically, you can do anything you could otherwise. I think you could pretty much do just about every encounter with the use of these boxes, any, I should say, non-batty point encounter with the use of these boxes, with the exception of the encounter that requires you to flick discs across the flick chips across the battle map. That one is tough for me to do to program, so you're going to have to come up with an alternative on your own if you happen to pull up that encounter. But otherwise, I think we can pretty much handle any encounter that gets thrown at us, either in the normal fashion with baddies or by using these boxes in all sorts of different ways. And like I said, nothing specific happens. If I reduce this to 0, it goes to 0. I can actually reduce it to -1 if I wanted to. These are just simply boxes that can have numbers in them. So I can put any kinds of numbers in any of these boxes, and they can represent whatever you want them to represent. As long as we're talking about boxes, let me talk about these 8 boxes up here in the top left corner of the screen. These are also just generic counters. You can use these counters for anything you want. So these are all independent counters. They just right-click and left-click, just the way you would normally expect. And any counter can represent whatever you want it to represent. The counters can go positive or negative. They can be used for any purpose. It's just entirely up to you. And that's really all I need to say about them. Real quick insert here. I've added a new feature that allows you to add a blank chip to the battle map, whether you're in battle or not. It's undocumented in the sense that if you hover over a space, you actually don't see any kind of a tooltip. I just thought that was a little bit cluttered. However, if you double click on a blank space now, like so, you will get a blank chip. And where this comes in handy is if you could use it, I suppose, for trees or rats in place of using the boxes feature, but it particularly comes in handy when you need to create something like an orb for Gendrix or some other non-batty, non-Gearloc chip that's on the battle map, where you might have to just put a pile of HP. If you need to just track HP somewhere on the battle map without actually having a batty or a Gearloc occupy that space, that's the way to do it. Just double click on a blank space, and then it just becomes a unit. So you could actually just move it around like you normally would. Obviously, you can reduce the HP, increase the HP. You can right-click it to remove it from the battle map. One difference from a batty or a Gearloc is that if you reduce it to 0 HP, it just stays there. If you want to actually get rid of it, you have to right-click it. Okay, so anything that happens during the use of the program gets recorded in a log. So if you're ever in doubt about whether you actually did something or when you did it or where you did it, you can go into the log to see when things happened. Now the log can be called up either with the L key or the G key. Either one will work. Or you can simply click on the log button. And this basically records everything that's going on with the program. From the start of the program, it remembers the log from one session to the next, and only resets the log when you start a new game. So you could basically find anything you want here. You can also hit Control F and look for something. So I might look for, okay, let's go back to when this battle started. So I happen to know that battles start with the word start of battle. And we reach the end of the log from where the cursor was currently highlighting, but I can hit the F3 key to continue searching. And there we go. We found where the text start of battle was in the log. That can come in handy. Like I said, I happen to refer to it often, particularly if I start a session and then pick it up maybe the next day or later in the day, and I've forgotten, okay, what did I just do? Where was I? The log will tell you what just happened. So just about everything that happens is recorded in the log, and in one form or another. All right. Let's turn your attention down to the bottom, back to the bottom right corner of the screen. We have a new button. That starts a new game. It's equivalent to holding down the Control and the Alt key and pressing N for new. You get that prompt. It just defaults to no. If you click yes, it wipes out the current game. You can always get back to it, as you'll find out in a moment, but it basically starts with a clean slate, and you can go and set up a new game. The About button will tell you the current version of the program that you're running. That's important information, especially if you're going to report a bug or need to correspond with somebody else or me about a problem you're having with the program. There's a contact link down here if you do need to send me a bug report of any sort. I will explain in a moment how you create bug reports and notes and things like that. But this will basically open up your email client. If you click this link, it'll open up your email client and start setting up an email address to me at toomanybonesprogram@gmail.com. I also want to just take a quick note here to make mention of the fact that I have set up a Patreon account. There's probably going to be a great deal of support that this program needs. I'm sure some people are going to, even despite all the beta testing that we've done, I'm sure people are going to find all sorts of new and various bugs that will need to be fixed, and there may even be new feature requests and things like that. To the extent that people help me out with donations, I will be able to continue to support this program, enhance it, and debug it. And a couple of people have already donated even $1 a month, which was very nice of them to do. I'm not asking for a lot, but anything you can donate to help me continue to support this program would be greatly appreciated. Anyway, click anywhere on this box to make it go away. As you can see, I'm in the middle of a battle against the tyrant Gendrix. Where is he? He's right here. There's a dragon delinquent over here, and you can see that one of his orbs is on the battle mat, and this is in the middle of a 3 Gearloc game involving Gilly, Tantrum, and Patches. Now, you probably, first of all, have noticed that any time you do anything in this game, virtually anything, let's say I reduce Patches' health down from 9 to 8, within a few seconds of you making that change, you see this little saved pop up in the top right corner of the screen, indicating that the program has saved your last change. If I restore Patches back to 9, again, within a few seconds, the save comes back up. So I know that what I just did is saved by the program, so that if I ever had to undo a mistake or redo or something like that, I would be able to do so. And you could pretty much count on you could probably undo all the way back to the beginning of your game if you wanted to. I'm not sure that's terribly practical, but I will give you a good example of what might be practical. So first of all, let me point out that if I simply come up here in the top right corner, and by the way, if you want to manually save at any time, that's probably not necessary, but you can click the save button to manually save, or hit Control S, and it'll do the same thing. Now, if I hit the undo button, it'll go back one step. So if I hit undo, I'm back to where Patches' health was only at 8, because I had just reduced it. If I click redo, I'm going to be back to where Patches' health has been restored to 9. So undo is probably the best thing you can do if you just simply make a mistake and you just want to go back a step. Hit the undo button, left click it, and you'll go back a step, and you can continue from there. But let's say you want to undo a lot more than that. For example, as you can see, I'm in the middle of this battle with Gendrix, and suppose I say, this isn't really going well. I think I want to try a different strategy. So I want to go back to before the battle started, and then try again. I'm going to show you how to do that. First of all, bring up the log, either with the L key, the G key, or just clicking on the log button. So you can see here we are. Last thing I did was I advanced to battle round 2, and it was the Dragon Delinquent's turn, because the Dragon Delinquent is sitting at the top of the initiative meter. So I'm going to go look in the log for the words battle start. That's going to take me back to when this battle started, and I'm going to put a backslash at the end of that text. That tells my program to just basically look backwards in the log, to look backwards in time as opposed to forwards in time. It's at the end of the log, so searching forward isn't going to really help me, but searching backward will. I'm going to hit the Enter key, and okay, here I am as to where the new battle started, with the Dragon Delinquent, and I dropped some, you can see Gilly dropped some of his traps. Gendrix came on the battle mat, and that sort of thing. Basically, if you look down the log, you can see all this activity happening. But and you can see that before the battle started, I set my HP offset to -2, my attack offset to -1, and my defense offset to -1, because I wanted to experiment and not worry too much about getting knocked off early. But let's say I want to try again. I have to make note of the fact that just before I started this new battle, the last backup was 604. Okay? So now, 604 is the magic number. I close the log, again with the right mouse button or the escape key, either one will work. And instead of left-clicking on the undo button, I'm going to right-click on the undo button. And now it's going to ask me, okay, where do you want to go back to? I want to go back to 6:04, when just before the battle got started. And here I am. You can see there's the setup tyrant battle, and if I wanted to now relaunch the battle, I could click that and start all over again. On the other hand, if I thought to myself, wait a minute, oh, I have an idea, let me go back to where I was. If I simply hit redo, it's as if that undo never happened. And here I am back to exactly where I was. And I do that all the time, especially when I'm using the program to try out different strategies and try out different techniques and that sort of thing. It's just a good learning tool. So remember the text battle start. That'll always tell you when a battle started. And you want to go back in time. You want to right-click the undo button and go back to the last backup just before the battle started. Or for that matter, you could go back in time to any point in time if you want. Okay, that's all about undoing and redoing. Okay, now let's get into some technical stuff. Let's say you're using the program and, oh, you realize some weird behavior, or you think to yourself, oh, I got a good idea for a new feature. I should let Larry know about this. Okay, if you hit the Control N key on your keyboard, that is, hold down Control and tap the N, as in note, it'll bring up a white screen where you can start just typing notes to yourself, like, write to Larry and tell him how much I enjoy this program. Pardon my wry sense of humor. Then just hit the escape key and that'll go away. If you want to add to the note or add another note, just hit Control N and there it is. You're back to where you were. The clear button in the top right hand corner will clear the notes altogether. And if you just type some stuff and then realize, oh, that was a mistake, I don't need to save that note, just click Close without saving. When you come back with Control N, you're back to where you had previously saved the notes, which is that comment I had written. Now, more apropos is you might run into a bug. We've done a lot of beta testing and alpha testing, and we've gotten most of the bugs out, but you just never know, especially when a lot more people start hammering on this program. I wouldn't be surprised if other kinds of things start rising to the surface. So let's say you have a bug and you notice some weird behavior. Here's what to do. Go back to undo back to the point in time just before you got the bug. Okay? Let's say the bug was something like, okay, I knocked off Tantrum and something happened and his rage die disappeared. Okay? Now, that's not going to happen. I know that's not a problem. But let's say it did. Okay, his health goes down to 0, and for some reason, oh, what happened? His rage die is missing. Well, he got knocked off. The battle's not over. It's only sitting over here in the exhausted slot. So it's not really missing, but let's say it was missing, and I got a message that said, something's wrong. His rage die is missing. You want to go back, undo back to just before the problem occurred. Okay? Here we are, just before I knocked off Tantrum. And you're going to hit Control B. B as in bug. Control B. And you can see I'm going to get a record a bug dialog in which you can type in a little descriptive name for the bug report, and you can indicate to me what I need to do to reproduce the bug. So you might say something like, kill or knock out Tantrum, and you'll see that his rage die goes missing. Okay, hit the enter key, and the bug report has been complete. Now, I've made some notes. I created a bug report. I haven't actually sent it anywhere yet. But now let me take you behind the scenes to show you where all that stuff is stored. And while I'm at it, let me also direct your attention to the top right of the screen. You see you've got a button here for Rules, Guide, Adventuring Guide. You're going to click those, nothing's going to happen. It's not going to work because you need to tell the program, give the program some more information if you want those buttons to work for you. So let me show you how, when I go behind the scenes and tell you about the notes and the bug report, I'm also going to tell you about how to make those buttons work for you. So let me quit the program right now. Okay, here I am in my computer. This is a Windows 7 machine. If it was a Windows 10 machine, you'd go to this PC. If you remember, the program is installed by default in Drive C, Program Files x86, Too Many Bones. Okay? There's the executable. That's the file you're going to be updating as new versions of the program come out. You can see that this happens to currently be at version 2.1.0.32. By the time you get the program installed, it's probably going to be 2.2 or later. Okay. We want to go to the Saves folder because that's where everything that you create gets saved. So here we are in the C Program Files x86 Too Many Bones Saves folder. First of all, they're the notes we created. It's just a text file. Write to Larry and tell him how much I enjoy this program. And it also made note of the bug that we filed or created, Knockout Tantrum, and you'll see that his rage die goes missing. This is the actual bug file that's named based on what you actually typed in, Knockout Tantrum, and you'll see that his rage die goes missing. This is the file I need if you want me to help you or try to fix the problem in the program that caused the bug to appear. So you would literally write an email to toomanybonesprogram@gmail.com, attach that file, maybe add some more descriptive information about you and the kind of computer you're running on, what version of Windows, stuff that you might think I might need, and send that off, and I'll see what I can do about the bug. This option file, this is the file, this is the DNA that tells the program how to recreate where you are in the game when you start the program up. And essentially this is simply a copy of your options file just before you did whatever you did to try to reproduce the bug. So that's why that file is so important. All right, so let's get these three buttons in the top right-hand corner working for you. Now, for these buttons to function, two things the program needs to know. One, it needs to know where your PDF reader is. For the most part, most computers run Adobe Acrobat Reader when they need to open a PDF. A PDF, if you don't already know, is a portable document format. It was created by Adobe, and it's the sort of type of file that you download from the web all the time. That's number one. And then number two is the program needs to know where to find the PDFs, like the rules and the guides and the adventuring guide. So the first thing I want you to do is we need to find out if the program can find your PDF reader, your Adobe Acrobat Reader. So I want you to come up to the Rules button and right-click it. Right-click the Rules button, and you're going to see something like this. And it's going to say PDF Reader. It's going to show the most common path as to where Adobe Acrobat Reader is typically installed. And then after that, it's going to say OK or Not Found. If yours says OK, that's great. You passed test 1. If it says Not Found, you failed test 1, and we're going to have to do something about that. And then the second test is it has to find all the guides, and clearly it's not going to know where to look, so I'm not going to be surprised if this says Not Found. But if this says Not Found, that's going to take a little bit more work. Okay, so let's address both of these issues. So let's quit the program. Here we are back in my computer. I'm going to go back to Drive C, Program files x86, too many bones. Okay. Let's assume for the moment that you passed test 1. It said OK on the PDF reader. If that's the case, then this is pretty simple. We just need to be able to tell the program where to find all your PDFs. Now you have two choices. You can either put them all right in the Too Many Bones folder, where we are right here, or you have to tell the program where to find them if you already have them on your computer someplace. The easiest method is to just put all the files right in this folder. Give me a moment. Let me go find those files. Okay, I'm back. I found the files. There are 9 files altogether. I just copied them, so I'm going to now paste them right into the Too Many Bones folder. And there they are. The Adventuring Guide, the guide for Boomer, Gilly, Nugget, Patches, Picket, Tantrum, and Tink, and then last but not least, the rules themselves. You need to make sure that all the documents are named just like this, that the Adventuring Guide actually is called Adventuring Guide.pdf, that all the Gearloc guides are named according to the name of the Gearloc, so Boomer.pdf, Gilly.pdf, Nugget.pdf, and so forth. And then make sure that the rules are named Rules.pdf. First of all, do you have all these documents? If you don't, you need to go to Chip Theory Games' website and get them. Here I am on Chip Theory Games' website. And if you go over to the menu button in the top right-hand corner and go to Support, you're going to want to go to Too Many Bones Rulebook Downloads. Here's the rules. You can get these number 1. And then here's the Adventuring Guide. And here's Boomer, Patches, Picket, Tantrum, and if you keep going, Gilly, Nugget, and Tink. So these are the 9 documents you need. You don't need both of these. For instance, if you don't already have this, you're going to click it. It's going to open up, and then you're going to click this little button. Probably, if your computer's up to date, it's going to look something like this. And you're going to click Download. And again, I can't tell exactly how your program is going to handle this, but make sure it's called Rules, not the name that they gave it. And then make sure when you download all the other guides that they are named appropriately. Okay, so anyway, that was an aside just to show you where to find those documents if you don't already know. This is the easiest solution. Just put all the guides right in the Too Many Bones folder. You may already have them installed on your computer someplace else, and therefore you may not want to put another copy in the Too Many Bones folder. If that's the case, then here's what you can do. Let's get rid of all these guides. Now we're back to the way the folder used to look. Okay, how do we tell the program where to find your guides? You're going to right-click in the Too Many Bones folder. I'm right-clicking on the white space. Then I'm going down to New Text Document. And I'm going to call this text document DocPath. No spaces. Case doesn't matter. But just make sure there's no space between the word doc and path. Then open that file. It's empty. And we need to just tell the program where to find your guides. Either type in the path or go copy it and paste it. Now my guides happen to be in this folder here. This is my Documents folder, and in my Documents folder I have a folder called Too Many Bones. So I can come up here to the address bar, on the right-hand side of the address bar, click, then come over here to the highlighted area, right-click, and copy. Okay, close that. Here I am in the DocPath text document. I just need to right-click and paste. And now I've told the program where to find my documents. Again, it's vital that they're named correctly. Rules, Adventuring Guide, Boomer, Gilly, Tantrum, Nugget, etc. All right? So if you recall, I did pass test number 1. Now, hopefully I should pass test number 2 because via DocPath, I have told the program where to find all my guides. So if I go back to Too Many Bones and I right-click on the rules, okay, it can find the PDF reader, and oh, lo and behold, it found the DocPath and it found the rules. So I can now click Rules and get the rules to come up. I can click the guide. Well, I'm currently on Gilly, so I pulled up Gilly's guide. If I wanted to see Patch's guide, I just bring up Patch's, click on Guide, and there's Patch's. And then last but not least, Adventuring Guide. Okay? If all of them work, you're good to go. If one of them isn't working, but the other ones are, it just means that you didn't name that particular file correctly. For example, if you can't get the Adventuring Guide to open, it's probably because it's not named Adventuring Guide with a space between those two words. If you can't get the rules to open, it's probably because it's not named rules.pdf. So now, what if you failed that first test? Your computer couldn't find your Acrobat Reader. That's going to be a little more complicated. Hopefully you already know if you have Adobe Acrobat Reader even installed on your computer. Normally it's going to be someplace like Drive C or D, possibly a different drive letter, Program Files x86. It's going to usually be in a folder called Adobe. And then I have the most recent version called Acrobat Reader DC, but maybe you have an older version and it's just called Acrobat Reader. If that's the case, find whatever folder looks like Acrobat Reader, and then in there should be another folder called Reader. And if you found that, then you found your Adobe Acrobat Reader. You just don't have the most recent version of it. That's good. That's okay. We could probably make that work. Again, left click to the right of the address bar in the blank space. Come over to the highlighted area. Right click. Copy. Okay, we've copied the text. And now back in the Too Many Bones folder, we're going to create another file, another text document. This one's going to be called PDF Reader. Again, no spaces. PDF Reader. Go in there, paste the path to your PDF reader, and at the end of it, put a backslash. Assuming you're running Adobe Acrobat Reader, you're going to put acrod32.exe. That's what Acrobat Reader's program is called and where it typically is located. Now maybe yours, maybe you couldn't find yours, maybe it was in an older version and it was simply called Adobe Acrobat Reader instead of Acrobat Reader DC, which is the most current version. All right. If you're not running Adobe Acrobat Reader, I'm sure you're running some kind of PDF reader, or I hope you are. And if that's the case, then you just need to find it. You need to know what it's called. And in pdfreader.txt, you need to tell the program where the program is located, the path and the full name of it, .exe. If you're not running Adobe Acrobat Reader, now their website is changing all the time, but typically somewhere near the bottom, if you scroll down, it's going to show you where to find Adobe Acrobat Reader. And somewhere in here we are, down here, Acrobat Reader DC. There's the newest version. So maybe you have the older version, but you do want the newer version. Just come to adobe.com, click on Acrobat Reader DC. Make sure you uncheck the optional offers. People make this mistake all the time. You don't want all this garbage getting installed on your computer. Uncheck all these boxes and then install now and follow the steps from that point onward. It'll probably download the installation program. You'll need to launch that program and it'll then install and you should be good to go. But if not, just make sure that You create this file, pdfreader.txt if necessary, and tell the program where to find your Acrobat Reader. Okay? So if you failed test 1, you got to create this file. And no doubt you failed test 2, so you either have to create this file or put all the PDFs and name them accordingly in the Too Many Bones folder. And then when you run Too Many Bones, again, you can right-click any one of those buttons, and you got to make sure that PDF Reader passes, and make sure that DocPath and it passes, and that it can find rules.pdf, for example. Finally, some people have been experiencing problems having the program store or save its files in the default save folder called Saves, which is stored in your installation folder, C, Program Files x86, Too Many Bones. This is usually caused by a problem having to do with your permissions or your rights. So for now, I'm going to just delete this. Let's say I'm one of those people who have a problem having the program save my files in the Save subfolder of the installation folder. And in fact, when I come to the installation folder after running the program, I don't see a Saves folder there, so it's a little bit mysterious. Well, as of version 2.2.4 of the program, which I've uploaded, you can now create a text file in your installation folder telling the program where to store the files that it saves. Now, I recommend, if you want to create an alternate folder where to have your files saved, because you're running into this problem, then I recommend that you have that folder created inside your Documents folder. So, how do you find your Documents folder? Well, start by going to My Computer or this PC, depending upon what version of Windows you're running. And most likely, your Windows folder and your Documents folder, for that matter, are stored on local disk C or drive C. So I'm going to click here on local disk C. And then I'm going to go into the folder called Users. And you're going to see a bunch of different folders here, a folder for every different user account that you've created on this computer. Now, you may not remember what you called your user account, but it's probably your first name or your full name. Now, you can see that my user account is Larry. So I'm going to go into that folder. And then my documents are either going to be stored in a folder called My Documents or just Documents. So look for a folder called My Documents or Documents. It's not going to have a little shortcut icon in the bottom left-hand corner of it. It's just going to be a yellow manila folder icon. And you're going to open that. And you should see inside of that folder all of your documents. Now, another way to get here is to click on this little arrow here in the pane on the left next to Documents, and then click on My Documents, and that should take you to the same place. You can see that if I click in the address bar, I am in the same location, C:\/users/Larry/Documents. In any event, I want my Too Many Bones files to be saved in a folder called Too Many Bones in this Documents folder, because everybody has permission to create files in their Documents folder. So I'm going to right-click. Now you can see my Documents folder is empty. Clearly your Documents folder is not going to be empty. It's going to be populated with all of your stuff. I've just temporarily moved all my documents out of here for confidentiality reasons. So I'm going to right-click and click on New and Folder. And now I'm going to create a folder in my Documents folder called Too Many Bones. And I'm going to go into that folder, and obviously it's empty. For now, I'm going to click in the white space up here in the address bar, so I can right-click on the highlighted text. This is the full path to where this folder now is located on your computer. I'm going to right-click on it and click on Copy. left click. So it's a right click on the highlighted area, left click on copy, or vice versa if you're left-handed and you've got a left-handed mouse. Okay, now obviously this is a new folder, it's empty, but hopefully it won't be for long. So I'm going to come back now to the installation folder. By default, see Program Files x86, Too Many Bones, that's where the program file is located. And I'm going to right-click on the white space here and click on New Text Document. And I'm going to call this text document SavePath. The word save, path, no space, case doesn't matter. It can be uppercase, lowercase, or mixed case like I typed it. Doesn't matter. Just make sure there's no spaces. It's just the word save path. Now I'm going to open that file. And in that file, I'm going to right-click on the white space and click Paste to paste the text that I just copied. So now, in this file, I am specifying the alternate folder where I want Too Many Bones to save all of its files. In C, Users, Larry, Documents, Too Many Bones. I'll close that and make sure I click Save. And now, when I run the program, it's not going to save its files here. It's going to save its files instead here. And we should see something appear. So let's go back here. Let's run the program. Make sure you're running version 2.2.4 or later. I'm going to click on OK. Now, and by the way, you can see that I just did a save here, and I can left click on save to save the file again. This is where it saves all of its information about where you are in your current game. But if you come up here and you right click on the save button instead of left clicking on it, you can have the program verify that it is saving its files in the folder you want your files to be saved. This makes sure that you created the save path file correctly, that you specified the right folder, that sort of thing. So you just want to be sure that this is all correct. As you can see, it is. So I'm going to quit. You can see I no longer have a folder here called Saves, but if I come back to my Documents folder, Too Many Bones subfolder, aha! Now we've got lots of stuff that is being saved by the program here instead of in its default location, which is up here. So hopefully you followed all that. I'm sorry, I'm trying to explain it in perhaps more detail than necessary just for the benefit of people who are not that good with Windows and not that good with creating files and copying and pasting. So I'm kind of going through pains to make sure that this is all clear. But the point is that I have created a file in the Too Many Bones installation folder called SavePath to tell the program to save all of its files in a different folder than where they normally would be saved because of perhaps a problem that I have with my computer with permissions saving those files into the default folder, which is usually up in here. So now I basically created a Too Many Bones folder in my Documents folder, and everybody has permissions to their Documents folder by definition, so there shouldn't be any problem writing for the program to save all of its files in that alternate folder instead of the default folder. If you're not having a problem with any of this, you don't have to do this. But if you are, because you're running into errors when it tries to save your file, you'll know you're one of those people, and you'll probably want to follow this procedure. Hopefully that's clear. That should do it for now. All right? I'm sure my testers will find lots of bugs, but hopefully I've knocked most of them out of the park. And for what it's worth, if you use this program, I hope you enjoy using it, and I hope you get some value out of it, either because you enjoy playing Too Many Bones on your PC, or because it inspired you to go out and actually buy the game. I'm telling you, I've never been this much in love with a game as I have with this one. In any event, thanks for watching, everybody, and I'm sure I'll talk to you on the forum or somewhere else. Bye-bye for now. Thanks so much.